Welcome to the Wheatfield. I'm so excited you're here for the third Wheatfield Wednesday. Last week we talked all about waiting on the rain, essentially waiting until we hear from God to start something, or we are really going to create a lot of extra work for ourselves. This week we're hopping into something so exciting, the plowing seasons. You know, the really hard ones that we hate and are miserable. I kind of feel like preparing for this particular video was a plowing season. Like, my camera won't work. I mean, there's an electrical outlet over there that I can't even hide. I've shot this like 5 different times, and my husband accidentally forgot and came and was like banging around in the kitchen, making noise. So this has been a mini plowing season, even to just get this up there. But here we go. We're hopping in. I'm going to give you 2 definitions of plowing. The first is a noun. Here's a picture of it. This is a plow. You've probably seen it before. It's a farm implement that's usually got a strong blade at the end of it, connected to some type of motor vehicle that is used for breaking up soil to prepare the land for seed for the planting season. Looks like a lot of hard work, right? That poor farmer, he or she is really hot, probably tired, dirty, thirsty, all the things. Plowing seasons, they're hard work. I'm going to focus on this though. I'm focusing on the verb plowing. And here's the definition of the verb: to till, to turn up the earth. When you've been in a plowing season, doesn't it feel like your earth has been turned upside down? Plowing is hard work, exhausting work. It is not glamorous work. I like to say this: ain't nobody Instagramming their plowing seasons. Just doesn't happen unless they have like a filter and a really cute caption. Nobody's Instagramming those plowing seasons. Plowing takes the ground and it breaks it up. It requires digging deep, both figuratively and literally. And it requires all of that without the promise of seeing the wheat. I mean, that farmer, when he's out there early in the morning getting going, there is no wheat for him to see. It's in his mind. He's trusting that what he's going through that morning is going to create wheat down the road. Here's what the Bible has to say about tilling or plowing. Proverbs 28:19. He who tills his land will have plenty of food, but he who follows empty pursuits will have poverty and plenty. Do you want plenty of food, or do you want poverty and plenty? Plowing gets you plenty of food, not plenty of poverty. Can you think of a time, maybe you're in one now, that you were in a plowing season? You know, the really hard, tough, blood, sweat, tears seasons. Moments of life where you're just not sure you're going to make it. Maybe it was a job or a marriage issue, an issue with the kid, an issue with a friend, a diagnosis, goodness, a divorce, a miscarriage, a broken dream, the death of a dream or the death of someone you love, a plowing season of grief and loneliness. Plowing seasons, no matter how big or how small, are a part of life. And you know what else I'll venture to say? That is that God uses our plowing seasons to get us to a better, abundant season. Here's why I believe that, because I've obviously had to do research on growing wheat. I'm not a farmer by nature, don't really know much about it. So I've had to go to the internet, and I found this site that kind of walks you through everything. Shout out to the Iowa Agricultural Literacy Foundation website. But I read this and it got my attention when it came to plowing. Bear with me on this little agricultural adventure we're about to go on. This is what it said. Seeds are typically only planted an inch below the soil. Therefore, farmers want to give those seeds the best chance of germinating and growing. That means they have to break up the ground. Plowing breaks up the blocky structure of the soil, which can aid in drainage and root growth. Plowing helps with root growth. If the ground is not plowed when it's time for planting, the little seeds will never have a chance to grow. If there's no roots, there's no growth. If the seed doesn't grow, it never becomes a stalk of wheat. Stalks of wheat can never become a wheat field. You can never have abundance. If you do not provide the space for roots to grow, you will never have abundance. In other words, plowing are essential. Deep, strong roots are vital in getting to your wheat field. I mean, honestly, deep, strong roots are vital in just surviving our world right now, right? You know what I'm talking about, those roots, the deep, strong, faith-filled roots. Roots that are connected to a belief that there is a God who loves you, that there is a God that is for you, that there is a God who wants to see you have an abundant life. Those are the roots I'm talking about. One of the only ways to get those roots is to have a plowing season that turns up your earth. Listen to this verse in Jeremiah 17. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose hope is in the Lord, for he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spreads out its roots by the river, will not fear when the heat comes. Its leaves will be green, will not be anxious in the year of drought, and nor will cease from yielding fruit. Roots help us to not fear when life throws us those curveballs, to not freak out when things don't go as planned and we're in a plowing season, to not have anxious thoughts. Roots help in all of that. Healthy, deep roots not only keep us grounded, but they give us the ability to just not have fear, which we know can rob us of our abundance. Hard plowing seasons ultimately are root forming times. They're the times that provide us the opportunity and provide us the space to have roots that will never waver. Roots that keep us connected to our maker in a way that we would never know otherwise. About a decade ago, I walked through a really hard plowing season with a very close friend of mine. A season that would do most people in, would have most people waving their white flag. And even though I know that there were times that she wanted to do both of those things, she didn't. And I look at her now, 10 years later, and she has some really deep roots in her faith, deep roots about what's important in life. And I think about her so often when I'm teaching this message. The plowing season she went through and what it looks like for her 10 years later. Does not mean it wasn't hard. Does not mean that it was absolutely the most horrific thing she could go through. But her roots now, man, they're unwavering roots. All right, back to the agricultural website really fast before we close out. Can't even believe I'm bringing this up. Many farmers, this is what it said, spread manure from cattle and swine into their fields. The manure is rich in nitrogen, which is essential for plant growth, but it also increases oxygen in the soil, which makes more oxygen available for the plant roots. So I'm just going to make this quick correlation because I should never talk about manure in a Bible study, but even the really crappy times in life, according to this, if we're going to just keep on rolling this analogy out, those nasty, smelly, disgusting, awful times can still give your life what it needs, more oxygen for your roots. Don't forget that. All right, I cannot believe I just closed it out with manure, but that's just how this Bible study is going to roll. Listen, if you're in a plowing season, I want you to know this. Your abundance is coming. Do not lose sight of that. Do not miss the wheat. Even in the seasons when you can't see it, head down, plow that ground, but know your roots are getting formed, and that will give you better abundance than you ever would have had to begin with. All right, that's all I got for you today. I will see you next Wednesday. Have a great week.